There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
Welcome to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I'm your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, and check out our website, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Gotta tell you what, we got a full show. Yes, we dropped the ball yesterday. Gonna find out. Emails were communicated after Miss Lee stepped out of the office, and we were actually supposed to have a third guest yesterday. In between between Gus Dean and Zach Boychuk last night, we were supposed to have Mark Rette of Rette Jones Racing joining us, co-owner and crew chief over there. Didn't see it until I was about to jump off the air, as I briefly mentioned it as I was getting ready to jump off the air. I apologize to I want to make sure once again I apologize to all the fans that tuned in to hear Mark talk, and we apologize to Rette Jones Racing as well for the miscommunication, and we worked things out, and matter of fact, we got Mark joining us tonight. We got him joining us at 9:30, and then we got one of their drivers joining us as well. We got Dominique, and I am not going to butcher this one up, so I'm going to leave Mark to let us say her last name. But very, very talented driver. Very excited about having her on at 10 o'clock. I tell you what, 3 days in a row, 3 days and 7 guests later. 7 guests and a co-host. So. It's been a very good week so far. I tell you what. Lord. Great week. It's been a while since we had one of these kind of weeks. We can have a full week like this. I tell you what, I don't know how to handle myself. You remember, it wasn't until basically the beginning of the year that we went from 3 nights a week to 5 nights a week. So it was one of those things that normally all we worry about was booking 3 nights of guests, and that was all we had to worry about. And of course, we were leaving Thursdays open for the return of Racing with Big Sweats. We don't try to book anybody there because we kind of combine the shows. I kind of get things kicked off, and then we join back in with we join together with Racing with Big Sweat. And then we go our separate ways to he actually gets off the air first, and then we finish up here at the 110 Nation Sports Show. So it's kind of one of those things that we kind of leave Thursdays open. I might have a little something for you guys Friday. Who knows? We'll keep that open. A lot of NBA games going on right now. As Cleveland is not looking too hot right now. They've been up and down in this game. At one point, they were down by a good handful. And then they were up at half by a double-digit lead. Now they're down by a double-digit lead to Charlotte. We'll definitely keep our eye on that. Here at the studio, we've been keeping our eyes on the Golden State-Washington game, but that happens to be the only game we can actually get, which makes no sense. Here we are in North Carolina, and I cannot get the Cleveland-Charlotte game. I figured that any of the games in the local markets, we would get the Charlotte game. But, of course, that's not what happened. So, but keep an eye on the Golden State Warrior Washington game, 66-55 as they're creeping up on the half. Also going on tonight, we got Atlanta at Philadelphia. Atlanta's up 111-77 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth. Brooklyn at home against Indiana. Indiana's up 78-62 with about 4 minutes left in the third. Boston is up on Detroit in Boston, 67-52 with about 6 minutes left in the third. Oklahoma City and Orlando at the half. Oklahoma is at home, 66-65 over Orlando. San Antonio and New Orleans just finished the first. In San Antonio, the Spurs are up 30-27. And Dallas and Miami are tied up at 21 with about 30 seconds left in the first, and they are in Dallas. Later on, we've got, as a matter of fact, getting underway here just briefly, we've got Utah home against Denver. And then at 10 o'clock tonight, we got Sacramento home against Chicago. And then later on at home, Clippers over, Minnesota. Well, we'll be over Minnesota, but it's against Minnesota. But I tell you what, watching. Steph Curry, he was 6 for 7 in the first quarter. Most free throws, most three-pointers made in a quarter for Steph Curry. Some of these shots were just beyond ridiculous, as he just constantly puts up phenomenal numbers. Honestly, it makes no sense. As it's 63-50. What is I'm not understanding how I'm watching it on live on TV. How does the TV have such a delay? Can we pause it here? That's why. That's why there's such a delay. I understand why the score is so far off. Someone had paused the TV at some point. That makes a little bit more sense. But anyway, watching these shots that Steph Curry is really beyond ridiculous, and to see what Steph Curry has done this season so far really is more remarkable than we even really understand. And what I mean by that is he's fourth in steals. He averages 29.4 points a game. Towards the top of the league. Probably first in the league. And yet, in 14 of the first, 49 games, he has not played the fourth quarter at all. 12 of these games, he has only played 6 minutes of the fourth. That's crazy to know that in 26 games, he has either not played the fourth quarter at all or has only played 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. And yet, he averages 29.4 points a game, averages 6.5 assists per game, averages 5.2 rebounds per game, and like I said, he's amongst the top in a lot of categories. That tells you a lot more about Steph Curry than a lot of people even recognize. Not even grasp. I know that people want to sit there and talk about LeBron James, and people want to talk about Kevin Durant, and people want to talk about Kobe Bryant. But what Steph Curry is doing number one in points, and not even by a small margin, 1.5 points per game more than what anybody else is dropping. Number one in scoring, fourth in assists, and hasn't played in 14 games, the fourth quarter of 14 games, and then another 12 games he didn't play for about 6 minutes. I'm not a Golden State fan. I have one team. I've got 29 other teams. I have no love for it all. Straight up Cleveland Cavalier fan. I have one favorite player, LeBron James. I have one favorite team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. But at the same time, I can still mount up the proper respect for Steph Curry, who's accomplishing things that I don't think that we'll ever see again. And I don't think, honestly, when it's said and done, we can really compare that to anyone else. When Steph Curry finally walks away from this game, I don't think we'll any longer have the discussion of was LeBron James the best player in basketball? Was Michael Jordan the best? And I know this is not going to settle well with a lot of, especially MJ fans. But if Steph Curry continues at the current rate he is playing, and he is used at the same way that he currently is using it, and basically playing not even 3/4 of a game because he's sitting out the whole fourth quarter, and of course he's getting his breaks throughout the rest of the game. So you figure out of 48 minutes, I would be willing to bet maybe 30 minutes on average. I would assume at that point. And you're looking at 33 minutes per game, right at 33 minutes a game. So out of 48 minutes, you already limit yourself to 33. And if they can continue playing, obviously it's going to even get less and less possibly to extend that career, such as Popovich. Yeah, Popovich does for his team. But it's crazy. I mean, this man got 34 points tonight at the half in 17 minutes. 34 points. 13 for 14 from the field. 8 from 9 from 3 points. Three rebounds, assists, a steal. Did have the 4 turnovers, but at the half, I mean, if they open up this lead to 20 or 30 points, we're probably not going to see him in the fourth quarter at all. And he's already sat out 7 minutes of the first half. Like I said, I know that this is something that, it's going to ruffle a few feathers. I understand at the same time it is a bold prediction, but I honestly believe that if we have seen a player that is ever going to be, I'm not going to say comparable to Michael Jordan, because what some of the things Michael Jordan did was beyond, it was beyond video game. It was something that you just never thought that a human could do. At the same time, if he continues on the path that he did last year, the path that he's on this year, and we'll say that he has this run for another good 4 to 6 years at the performance he is putting on. I'm not saying Golden State's going to win all these championships, but the way it's looking right now, honestly, I would be shocked if they don't make a run for another few years, at least, at a minimum. But if he performs at the level that he performed last year and this year, for the next 4 to 6 years, how would he not be in the conversation? How could we not talk about? Well, we're able to talk about LeBron James in the conversation of Jordan-like, and whether who is better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. how could we not talk about Steph Curry, who by All-Star break is either going to beat his last year record or be really close. We know that he's not too far from setting a new three-point record. And like I said, first quarter, he set himself a new personal high with most three-pointers in a quarter, going 6 or 7, and went 2 for 2 in the second quarter of this game. I would love to see us going into the All-Star break 2018. And see what kind of conversations we're having at that point. Are we still talking about who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Or now are we having a conversation of who's better, Steph Curry or Michael Jordan? Now, obviously, there's certain aspects of the game that Steph Curry is not going to be comparable to when it comes to Jordan. But then again, there's certain aspects of the game that Jordan cannot be comparable to Steph Curry. I'm sorry, but Jordan is not going to bury the threes that Steph Curry is going to do. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to ball handling, I would take Steph Curry over Michael Jordan any day of the week. Like I said, I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way. But we are right now in the midst of seeing something that is Jordan-like. I'm not comparing him to Jordan, but Jordan-like. We're in the midst of seeing a NBA player in our generation that is going to play this game like it has never been played before. It's going to take his level of playing to a level that we have never seen before. And as long as this team does not get greedy, and we kind of seen a little bit of it in the offseason as Draymond Green got extremely greedy with his contract, as long as this team can know their role and not go extremely greedy when it comes to their payroll, and they can keep this team together, how is this team, one, how is Steph Curry not going to be compared to Michael Jordan? But two, with the championships, how are we not going to put him above Michael Jordan? And I tell you what, I don't think we ever, and the closest we've gotten is to LeBron James, to this conversation, or someone being better than Michael Jordan was LeBron James. And honestly, I think LeBron James I think he has fallen short, and I don't think it's going to get any closer. Do I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win a championship all because of inconvenient timing for the Cavaliers and the fact that the Golden State Warriors have just put this perfectly puzzled piece team together? I think by the time that the Warriors slow down and become more human-like instead of invincible, instead of being like superheroes on that court, I already think that the Cleveland Cavaliers will have already had to disassemble. Players will have to go on to other teams because of financial situations, because of frustration, because of possibly another loss of another coach. Many, many different things are going to play a factor into why there's a good possibility that even though Cleveland Cavaliers is by far the best team in the Eastern Conference, and we can't even say, well, it's the Eastern Conference, it's not like it's the Western Conference. Right now, the Eastern Conference is where it's at. I mean, outside of the top two teams, and for those out there, those critics, those so-called analysts and experts, stop. Pump the brakes. Stop trying to throw Oklahoma City into the conversation. Just like every other single year, except the first year when they lost to Miami in the finals, and that's because they were deeper than just too deep. They were well deep that year, and the NBA officials screwed them out of their championship. But since then, they have not been deep enough. I'm sorry, but two people, I don't care how many triple-doubles they got together. I don't care how many double-doubles they get together. I don't care if they score 90% of the points every night. As a matter of fact, I prefer them to. Because when it gets to the end of the season, once we start getting about Game 70, Game 75, and you got Durant and Westbrook scoring 75, 90% of your points, they're going to run out of that. They're going to run out of juice. They are not going to have the gas to continue playing at that level all the way through the all the way through the playoffs, all the way through the NBA Finals. They won't even make it to the NBA Finals. I'm sorry, but San Antonio and Golden State by far, hands down, the best two teams in the Western Conference. And it's up for debates on who's second best between Cleveland and San Antonio, especially the way Cleveland has been playing over the last 6 games. Now, granted, tonight they're going to lose to Charlotte Hornets, because right now they're still down by 9 points to the last update I've got here. And it's still by 9 points with 30 seconds left. So Cleveland's going to lose this game. But it's up for debate on who's the second best team in the NBA, but there's no debate on who is the best team in the NBA. And it's really kind of an insult, and I would say a smack in the face, but it's more like a baseball bat to the face to these top three teams that are clearly leaps and bounds above Oklahoma. Like I said, it is no disrespect to Kevin Durant or Westbrook, as they are two phenomenally great players, but two players cannot win a championship in this league. Not when you have Golden State that, they got one superstar and they got two all-star players, then they got a bunch of role players, but it all fits perfectly. Then you got San Antonio. You don't have no superstars anymore. Well, let me take that back. Leonard, I could probably give you superstar status at this point. You got a couple all-star-ish players, and you got a couple well-seasoned veterans and a bunch of good role players. Cleveland, you've got 3 superstars. You might not have any more all-stars on your team, but you got some really good role players. And I'll give you one all-star. I'll give you Tristan Thompson. He might not make the all-star, but he puts up all-star numbers. He just got snubbed out of that. Oklahoma, you got 2 superstars, then a bunch of role players. You don't have all-star players. You don't even have, really good players. You've got role players. You got 2 guys that carry you, that score 75% of the points half the time, and they are what's carrying you through. Eventually, this is why every season, when one of them gets hurt, they are done. There's no making to the playoffs. There's no playoff win. There's no nothing like that. Hell, Cleveland, they lose 2 superstars, but because they're still deep enough, not only did they lose 1 superstar, they continue through the playoffs and make it to the finals, lose a second superstar, and then still take it 6 games against the best team in the league. Oklahoma, you lose 1 superstar, you're done. Not only have you lost 2 of them, you'd be blown out every night. You'd be waving that white flag at halftime. Like, we done. Don't let there be Kevin Durant or Westbrook on that court. Yeah. You kidding me? So for all of you, and like I said, it's not even a shot against Oklahoma. Not a shot against Kevin Durant or Westbrook. They're 2 of the best players in the league, hands down. That team was not built for a championship. Oklahoma fans, go ahead and get used to the idea. Unless Oklahoma goes out and really does some shopping in the offseason to give a reason for Kevin Durant and Westbrook to stay, they're not staying. They have no reason to stay. Why continue playing together on a team and not winning the championship? Yes, the money's great. If that's all they care about, then they might stay. I have a feeling there's an itch. I have a feeling they want to win a championship. I don't think it's just about being the best duo in the NBA or having a fat paycheck every week. They can go anywhere and get a nice paycheck. Not that either one of them was really worried about the paychecks with the endorsements they got going on. So you so-called critics out there, so-called analysts, ESPN, these shows have these so-called experts on there. Stop with the Oklahoma talk. First of all, it should be called Durant Westbrook Thunder. It is not a team. But there is no way on this God's green earth that these two players could carry a whole team through the season, the playoffs, the finals. It's just not going to happen. But Steph Curry, I mean, good God. Could you imagine being the number one scorer in the league and being on a slump? I mean, you want to call that a slump, but a slump for him. Being in a slump until tonight. I mean, by the first quarter, he doesn't score more than he scored the last 4 games total. Not combined, but he scored more in pretty much the first quarter than he did each of the last 4 games. You are the number one scorer in a slump. You're the 4th in assists. You do fairly well for yourself in the rebounding, being such a small player that he is. And you're barely averaging 30 minutes a game. You're only averaging 2.5 quarters of a game. Not because you're old, not because you need a break. It's because you simply don't have to play. How tough can life really be? At this rate, and what little physical contact really goes on for him, because it's not like he's a 4 or 5 and he's constantly in the paint, having his body beaten and everything else. But he's out there in no man's land shooting 3-pointers. There's not a lot of physical wear and tear on that body. 2.5 quarters a game and no wear and tear. This man should be able to play until he's like 80 years old. It's beyond sick of what Steph Curry is able to do. I can't even begin to explain what we're seeing out of Steph Curry this year. I mean, they can't even. We're talking about 3 points made and 3 points attempt. They can't even. The stats are ridiculous here. 234. He is shooting 221, shooting 45%, a little bit up from last year. 221. He is only about 65 3-pointers away. So we're a little bit past half the All-Star break that he'll accomplish this record. But he'll be with a good 10 to 15 games left in the season that he will shatter his own record that he shattered from 2 years prior to that. 5%. Not his greatest 3-point shooting year. He's had 2 years better. 2011 to 12, he was a 45% shooter, but only shot it 121 times, making 55. And then 2012 to 13, going 272 out of 600 for 45.3%. Not quite his best season when it comes to 3-point, but by far on track to have the most 3-pointers ever in the season, and have that well before the season is even over with. I mean, all-around shooting, though, one of the best season. Over 50% from the field goal percentage, highest yet to date. Free throws, 91.4, second best. Tied for second best. Turnovers, only 153 at this point. He had to do a lot of turnovers in the second half of the season to have a worse season when it comes to turnovers. But what Steph Curry is doing, like I said, this is not going to go over well with a lot of people. But if he continues to play at the rate that he's playing, putting up the numbers that he's putting, and performing at the level that he is performing, 2 years max, we'll no longer be comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James, or LeBron James, I guess, to Michael Jordan, I guess, is better. We're going to be comparing Steph Curry and to Michael Jordan, especially if Golden State can win a couple championships. If Golden State can finish this year out with a championship and next year, I guarantee by the 2018 All-Star break, this will be a very serious and hot topic across the NBA. There's no way it cannot be. The insanity. I tell you what, it's tough. It's tough to be a Cleveland Cavaliers fan because you finally see Dan Gilbert do the right thing. What he didn't do the first time around. He given there you go, almost Michael Jordan, given LeBron James everything. Went well above the salary cap to bring Tristan Thompson back. Went out and got Kevin Love. Made sure he kept Kyrie Irving. Went out and got Mo Williams. Re-signed Dellavedova. Went out and got Jefferson. Made sure that he re-signed Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Rajah back on the roster. Made sure that they had a contract set up to keep Mazga. All these pieces, and there's still pieces on the bench. Went out and got Sasha Khan, third big man that has hardly seen any time at all. And hell, that's the fourth man in line. But all the pieces they have added, and to include now a second new coach, all that they have done. And it's all going to be for nothing. Not that this Cleveland Cavaliers is not a great team, but I can't see anybody beating this Golden State Warrior team. It's all about timing. If they would have done it back when Jordan there you go, call him Jordan again. If they would have done this back when LeBron was on the team the first time, we would have had multiple championships. If they would have found a way to keep LeBron and add pieces instead of him going to Miami, they would have had championships in the bag. Now that they finally did what they needed to do and finally got this right, timing is all out of whack, and now we're going to watch Golden State Warriors make a run that may be second to none. And on top of that, and I'm getting ready to get you in here, Mark, and also to make that conversation about Steph Curry to Michael Jordan comparison, let Golden State go 73-9 or better. That will open that conversation wide open. We got Mark Rette of Rette Jones Racing with us tonight. We dropped the ball last night. Email communication, it just did not happen the way it was supposed to happen. Miss Lee had stepped out of the studio when things got confirmed. I didn't check Twitter account until after the show because I try not to do two things at once because I get sidetracked and I get involved with what I'm reading versus what I'm supposed to be talking about, and then I lose my train of thought. So I try to make it a habit of not reading stuff, especially when it comes to social media, while I'm on the air. And I even seen our first guest last night, Gus Dean, retweet stuff, and I was going to grab my phone. I was going to see what he tweeted, retweeted, and I really wish I would have, because I would have seen the tweets from Mark or the Rette Jones account, Rette Jones Racing account, and I would have known, but I didn't because I wanted to do the right thing for once in the almost 5 years we've been doing this. And so I kept the phone laid on the desk until the show was over with, not over with, right there in the last couple minutes. And that's when I realized, wow, we were supposed to have a third guest in between Gus Dean of Mason Mitchell Motorsports and Zach Boychuk of the Carolina Hurricanes. But thankfully, Mark had the schedule clear for us tonight. We're able to bring him on. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get him on the show. How are you doing tonight, Mark?
Oh, not too bad. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. And also to make things even crazier with this last night is your area code is almost identical. The two second numbers are flip-flop with Miss Lee. So honestly, when I saw your number popped in, I thought it was Miss Lee's number because I've only seen her call in like once or twice because normally she clicks on the link and listen. And that was the other reason I didn't give it no thought. I was like, wow, Miss Lee's in the studio tonight. I knew she had to work, but maybe she got off early. And so I didn't think nothing of it. But I do apologize. But before we jump into this, like we always do, I want to give you an opportunity to plug your guys' team, your any drivers, team site, company site, anything you want to plug, sponsors, before we jump into this tonight.
Oh man, I just glad you guys are having us on here. I think Dominique's following me up here in a little while. Got some really big things happening this year with the K&N Pro Series entry for Dominique. I'm going to do a little bit of ARCA racing, some truck racing with my partner Terry. Got a lot of really, really good things going on. Got a lot of really big things coming that are yet to be announced for this year, which I can promise is coming pretty soon. So things are looking really good. First and foremost, I'm really, really excited to be teaming up with Dominique and making a run at this championship in the K&N Pro Series for next year, because man, she's got the talent, she's got the drive, she's got the determination. I think it's going to be a really, really cool situation and a really cool deal for us.
Now, I didn't want to attempt this because I try my darndest to get the pronunciation of names correctly, and sometimes I get it, sometimes I butcher it up. And so I didn't even attempt this early in the show when I said we had a driver coming on. I just left it as Dominique. So I want you to go ahead and pronunciate her last name, so that way when she comes on, I do not butcher this up.
Hey, I'm pretty new to it myself. It's a tough one. It's a tough one by any means, but it's Dominique Van Wieringen. You can double check her on that, the pronunciation. Make sure I don't screw it up myself. But no, she's she's been by the shop some. She's down here in Charlotte, going to school at UNCC for an engineering degree. And she's been by a bunch, getting to know her, getting to know her family, and getting ready to get things moving very quickly here, just in a couple of days. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. We've been burning the midnight oil, just trying to, dot the I's and cross the T's, make sure everything's 100% to make a bid for it here.
Now, this is not the first time we've had you on, and obviously you guys are doing something right over there. There's a lot of great things are going on for you guys, and like I said, there's announcements to be yet to be made, and you guys got a lot of things going on. What does one look for in a driver? I mean, what caught your guys' eye with Dominique to bring her along into your guys' program?
To be honest with you, I've told this story a couple times. I happened to be at one of the car series events last year, and I happened to be standing down in the corner, and I had the kid that was driving for the team I was helping at the time standing there with me, and we were just watching cars qualify, and man, here come this black, orange number 5 Durobike car out of the pits getting ready to qualify, and I mean, just grabbing gears, warming up the tires, just really, really hard after it, and she went out there and she qualified. I believe it was second, if I remember right, and I'm like, basically I told the boy that was driving for us, I was like, you see that right there? That's what you need to do. That's how you need to get up to speed, and that's what you need to do here. Later that night, after qualifying, climbed up on top of the spotter stand, spot for the man. And, I watched her race against Christopher Bell. She was teammates with John Hunter Nemechek last year. And I tell the story, she gave Christopher Bell a fit there for about, 15, 20 laps. And her and John Hunter raced door to door for about the same amount of time. And she went forward, and John Hunter went back, and John Hunter is a pretty good little shoe, and I was like, man, she is on it, she's really doing a good job. And she had a misfortune of a parts failure throughout the night and a pretty scary fire. But, it all turns out she's from Amherstburg, Ontario, Canada. My partner, Terry Jones, is from Amherstburg, Ontario, Canada. They literally live 5 miles apart from each other. And both in racing, and never knew each other till Winchester this year. We happened to be up at Winchester for the super late model race, and got introduced to her dad and to her, and we started. I called him right from the spotter stand that night, and he was like, "How'd you guys do?" I said, "We did okay, but I'm telling you, this girl from Amherstburg's good." And he said, "Well, who is she?" And I explained it to him, and there a couple short months later, we ended up hooking up at Winchester and talking, and the ball just kind of rolled from there, and here we are going into the 2016 K&N Pro Series season. We got Dominique signed up, and man, I'm really, really excited. Terry, my partner's really, really excited. He wants to, if I can't get him in victory lane in the ARC stuff or the truck stuff, he really wants to to be behind a Canadian and put a Canadian in victory lane. And, since then, her father and Terry have become good friends. And, like I said, they live 5 miles apart from each other. So it's kind of really working out to be like a family-type atmosphere, which, man, I really like. And the determination she has to do this is second to none. She wants it more than anybody, and that's really cool to have.
Now, we've got a bunch of female drivers on, and, I've gotten the opportunity to ask them, but you being a co-owner of a race team, I'm kind of interested to know from your point of view, how hard is it to market a female and getting advertising? I know it's a lot easier now than it once was, and it should already be even more acceptable than what it is. I think that you just got so many traditional fans that are just comfortable in their ways, and they're just not ready for any kind of changes, no matter what any team, NASCAR, or anybody does. You still got NASCAR fans out there that are just bound and bent and determined that it's going to be the Winston Cup, and we're going to still have the Winston Cup point standings and everything else. But now that we're in 2016 and we have so many female drivers now coming through the ranks, and it's becoming more and more common, I know it's got to be easier, but from the owner's side, how hard is it still at this point to market and get advertising and convince, the traditional fans and maybe even some of the traditional marketing people out there that, look, this is the real deal. She definitely, this is her resume, which she has a very impressive resume from what I've seen. But there's no doubt in our mind we are 100% committed and confident that she is going to put us in victory lane and get us the championship. And we want you to put your company on this car and be proud to, sponsor her.
The marketing side of it's kind of new with her just joining us. We've got some great partners. And moving forward, we've got some really good stuff going on with the NASCAR Technical Institute and UTI, which is, a pretty big school down here. As far as it goes for her being a female, when she straps that helmet on, she's a race car driver. No different. She puts her fire suit on the same way, any of these guys do. And she's my driver, whether she's a female, male, whatever it may be, it's even cooler because you've had the Danica Patricks and you have these women come along and kind of come and go, and some have the talent, some don't, but for what I see in Dominique and her family is the determination to do this, the drive to do it, and at the end of the day, she's a race car driver to me. It's not a female versus male thing. I can remember years ago, just growing up with my little nephew racing quarter midgets, and, most of the girls at the younger age were faster than the boys because they matured so much faster than a boy. And it's just, we're working on some partnership things and getting some stuff rolling, and there's been a lot of interest, a lot of people calling, a lot of people, sending stuff to us, and I really, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a situation to where once we get her on the racetrack and back up what we think, what we know she's going to do, it's going to be easy. The biggest thing obviously is money these days, and how you go racing and what it takes to go racing. And I told her father several times, my job in business and in racing is to stop bleeding. And by saying that, meaning, I don't want him to spend his hard-earned dollars in racing. I want to get some support. I want to get some people in there to take her to the next level. There's a lot of families out there when you're dealing with the age bracket and where we're at in the series kind of thing. It's still a developmental series, and you've only got so many, how do you say it, dads, families that can support this stuff for only so long. It takes a lot of hard-earned money. I appreciate what her family does for her, getting her to this level, but, our job is to put her on the racetrack and do the things that we know how to do and the things she knows how to do at this level and pave the way for her future. She, like I said, she's one of the most determined individuals, male or female. I don't care. I've worked with a lot of younger kids and a lot of pretty good little talents along the way. And her focus, determination, and drive so far, just getting into this, as new as this is to us with her, man, she's really impressed me a lot. And I'm ready to go. I'm counting the days till we get to go to New Smyrna, because I really think, I'm expecting big things, and I really think it's going to be a cool deal.
When is your guys' first race?
We actually, Terry, my partner, and pretty much the guy I owe everything to for starting Rette Jones Racing with me. He's going to run the ARCA race. We're going to head out Tuesday next week and head down there for the ARCA race. And then we head over to New Smyrna Saturday morning for a practice day, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We have a open test, with it being the first race of the year for K&N. They offer that. And then Sunday morning, Valentine's Day, practice qualifying race. I think we end up starting the race about 7:30 Sunday night.
Speaking of the K&N Pro Series and even the ARCA Series, how much has it impacted you, or any at all, with NBC and their coverage now? It just seems that now the fans get more exposure to both K&N Pro Series and ARCA Series, exposure that we weren't getting before, and NBC has really picked up. Last year, I know by no stretch of the imagination, I watched 4 K&N Pro and ARCA Series races, and I've watched my whole lifetime. Has that, in return, benefit you guys team-wise, company-wise, or even driver-wise? And if so, is it a big impact?
It has been. It's been really good. I mean, the ARCA stuff. A lot of live races, a lot of short track racing, getting back to their roots, to where they're showing a lot of these races. The K&N Pro Series stuff. A majority of it is on a taped late schedule. But it's not too bad, it usually airs the week after on like a Thursday or Friday night at like 7 o'clock, 7:30, I believe. So it's great to get those, to get them on TV, to put them in front of America, to give back to the people that, might not be around on the weekend to watch a race, and they can watch it on Thursday night. And it's a really cool deal. We need to work forward from a business standpoint, and we need to try and get some of those races live, because it helps us. It helps us as team owners, and moving forward, we can sell a little bit more sponsorship-wise, and it's a trickle-down effect, you know what I mean? And we need to get them live, obviously, and I think that's the goal in mind. But Rome wasn't built in a day, so it has been a big thing to where I can turn to people that are supporting us and in business and stuff like that, and I can say, hey, the race will be on 7:30 next Thursday night, or make sure you check us out, kind of thing, and they get to see it. They get to get a little bit out of it, as far as seeing their car, their sponsorship dollars, whatever it may be, on a live, not a live deal, but a national type level.
Yeah, I figured anything else, at least being on a national TV such as NBC with sponsorship, that's definitely got to help. You guys said you're going to have some truck races as well this year, right?
Yeah, we're definitely, like I said, I kind of alluded to a little bit. There's definitely some announcements coming soon. I plan on running Terry. I really wanted to run him at Daytona in the truck. He ran Talladega last year, and a flat tire sidelined us, and didn't get to show the finish he was about to have. But going, obviously, with Dominique coming on board, our main focus is Dominique, and that's our main goal. Anything we do besides that will be at a level that when a K&N race isn't racing that weekend, and the K&N schedule's broke up enough throughout the course of the year that we can go experiment a little bit. We can do a little bit here and there. My partner Terry, he'll run a couple truck races, run some ARCA races, My ultimate goal is obviously to have a great K&N season, move forward, and possibly try to run Dominique in Martinsville and Phoenix at the end of the year in a truck. That's after the season ends in K&N, and we got a little bit of time there. We can go test the waters, and get her some more experience, get her some more exposure. So when we turn, this time next year, if everything lines up and the stars align and sponsorship dollars come and stuff like that, that we can move her forward and move her up the NASCAR ranks. That's the big reason I pushed her father, to do the K&N deal moving forward, because it is a NASCAR represented series with some great racetracks. You get back to your roots. You get to have a little bit of fun short track racing, which we all, short track racing is very near and dear to my heart, which I think if you ask any racer, any true racer, I tell people all the time, we never would have left our Saturday night track if we could have made a living doing what we did, and we all chased a dream to come south and go racing because we love it. I use the phrase all the time. It's the most legal drug you can ever get your hands on. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at RJR. Like I said, we have some exciting news coming soon, and hopefully you'll have me back on and we can announce some stuff maybe and move forward there.
Oh, yeah, and I wasn't trying to pry, and we'll give you an opportunity at the end to throw anything out there that you could throw out there. And, of course, we're going to do all we can to either share on our stuff, what you guys have been going on, and plus get you on the show. But I was more going to the angle on this was with the rule changes in 2016, and now that, you guys, are possibly going to have some truck races, what as an owner, what are your thoughts with this whole new caution clock thing that they're wanting to implicate this year when it comes to truck races?
The truck series is still a development series. It's the lower tier of the major three, right? I'm okay with it. I really do. It's going to bunch the field back up. It's going to be better for the fans, right? And at the end of the day, why are we doing this? Or why are we fortunate enough to do this? Is because the fans, because they pay their hard-earned money to come watch races. They, what wins on Sunday might get bought on Monday, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, NASCAR has to make decisions, and they have to do things to make the sport better, to make the fans happier, and I'm kind of okay with it. Some of the truck racing's fun. I've done it a lot. I really like that series. It's fun racing, but some of it gets stretched out a little bit here and there on some of the bigger mile-and-a-half racetracks. So I think the caution clock, it'll bunch the field back up. It'll make racing a little bit more exciting. I'll probably be standing on the pit box someday, and I'll be just madder than hell that the caution come out. But I understand.
I was going to say, I want to ask you the same question. If you guys ever get like a half a track lead or maybe 3-second lead out there, and that clock is 20 minutes, and they throw that caution, and that end up causing you guys the win that you guys should have had, I'll be re-asking that same question.
Yeah, and that's why I'm stuck in the tough position being a part owner of this deal plus crew chief. I got to play both sides of the fence to say, but it's at the end of the day, this is all about the fans, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without those people. So if NASCAR is going to try it, and there's several things coming down the road. NASCAR, the key people in NASCAR right now, they're not scared to make changes. And I don't think that's a bad thing, Change, a lot of times change is good. If you stay stagnant too long, it just doesn't get any better. They're, coming along with this Delta engine that they're coming into the truck series with. There's a lot of people up in arms, there's a lot of support from different manufacturers that are losing a little bit because this Delta engine's being provided by NASCAR with the NASCAR name on it. But at the end of the day, it's really cost effective too. So there's pros and cons, and there's ups and downs, and it's a learning deal, and they try and how do I say it? They try and they're going to break it into the Truck Series, and then if it works, maybe in the next into the Xfinity Series, and then up and down the line. This sport, it's gotten expensive. I mean, it's tough, and the sponsorship dollars are tough to find, and you get a lot of people just cold calling people every day, just looking for that next sponsorship dollar, and it's the marketing and everything behind it's really, really, really tough. So I applaud NASCAR for trying to find ways to make it a little less inexpensive for the owners, for the drivers, for the families that are supporting these deals until we get them to the top 3 series, where hopefully sponsorship kind of plays a bigger role rather than the Saturday night racer.
And I agree. Changes. It's crazy because the fans will complain that they don't like the current system, but then when NASCAR makes a change, they're unhappy with that as well. And I'm sorry, but especially when it comes to the Sprint Cup Series, if you did not like the last 2 chases, the controversy, the fights, the boys being boys, and regardless if you like what Matt Kenseth did or do not like what he did, that was still that was 5-star NASCAR right there. That made you feel like the old days of Earnhardt and Terry Labonte and Rusty Wallace and them just beating and banging and everything else. It might not have been the most ethical thing, but I'm sorry, but I don't agree with what Logano did to him originally the first time to cause the whole situation. But you can't ask for a better 10-race series than what we got the last 2 years, regardless of what people believe. I'm sorry, that the ratings have gone through the roof, especially when the chase is on. I mean, Olmstead is selling out left and right every year now. But I know a lot of this cost clock thing was to help with the cost, with the crews and the equipment, and obviously give opportunity for obviously more sponsors with more commercial breaks. Just the cost thing, with them doing the caution clock thing, is that going to be more cost efficient for team owners like you guys?
It is, and a lot of guys might disagree with me in making this statement, but when they did that, I would almost, from a business standpoint, I would almost like to see them say, okay, the caution comes out and the field is frozen and you come down pit road, but you don't gain or lose spots on pit road. The way you come down pit road is the way you leave pit road. And that would have saved the team owners and a lot of money on pit crew side of things. If you can remember back years ago, the Truck Series had halfway breaks, to where you didn't have to, you didn't have to travel so many guys. You didn't have to bring in, specialty tire changers, tire carriers, guys that are, that's all they do. And that's where I really applaud the K&N series, where we're still a development series, but we have halfway breaks, or some races you don't even pit for tires. It's kind of broken up a little bit. And I mean, I get it. I understand from the pit crew side of things. I was a pit crew guy myself for a number of years and made some decent money and great money doing it, and had a blast doing it. I love changing tires, and but then again, you put your owner's hat on and you look at the money side of things, and at the end of the day, it cost me roughly $3,000 to $3,500 a race just for pit crew guys, and that's not if I'm having to fly them in on a solo event. So that kind of stuff, it gets to be expensive, but I understand. At the end of the day, it costs money to go racing. So there's lovers and there's haters of it, kind of thing. But I understand where NASCAR's going with it. I see what they're doing, and like I said, love it or not, I kind of applaud them of trying it. And if it doesn't work, you know what? They're gonna be the first ones to make a change and try and make it better. So I think that they're seeing a little bit. Ever since the economy crashed some years back, 2009, 2010, whenever that was, and it's making a comeback, but people are still nervous to spend their money. Maybe not as much as they used to, and that's what hurts sponsorship dollars. That's what hurts, that's what hurts the little guy. So it's but it's a performance-driven thing too. If you're out there winning races every week, you really probably don't have to worry about sponsorship problems. So it's where we're at in the development side of things and trying to get drivers to the next level. It helps in a lot of ways. But then again, when you're in the part of the 3 major series, I understand the other side of it too. You know what I mean?
Now, I got to know before we let you go, I see we got Dominique in the studio. I actually got 2 different questions. The first one is, which one is more stressful? The crew chief, you kind of can make or break a driver by the decisions you make, which ultimately can affect advertising, can effectively affect the team, and so forth and so forth. Then you got the ownership side that, you're kind of in charge of the welfare and the livelihood of so many different employees and families and everything else. So I can imagine both of them being very stressful, but which one is more of a stressful job?
I would definitely tell you the ownership standpoint, and I'm still very new to this. I'm still learning a lot of things. I'm very, very fortunate to have Terry behind me and support me in my decision to whether they be right, wrong, or indifferent. He's given me the opportunity of a lifetime to run this company. He lives in Ontario, Canada. I mean, he's not here every day. I mean, we speak every day on the phone, but he's solely behind this, and I'm down here running it and making the decisions of what we have to do moving forward. And then we talk about everything openly, probably 2-3 times a day. I've crew chief for a long time, and always had the owners. A lot of owners would never tell you no. Do you want it or do you need it? And then let's talk about it. When it comes to spending money for parts and such other situations. And the ownership side of things is there when you sit there and now that I have to make those decisions, it's a little stressful. Obviously you have a number of employees working in the shop, and I know that they're my guy, they're my person doing my job and helping me out to get to the goal that we want to be at. But I'm also thinking about their families and their wives and their children, and I've got children of my own, so I think about that every day, daily, and how we can make this work and how we can get to the next level. And like I said, I'm very fortunate to have Terry. Dominique's father, Murray, and I have hit it off. He's a great man, and he's going to be a big part of this moving forward. As far as we move forward into the future, and they have, Dominique has a younger brother that's a very talented little race car driver, and hopefully we can bring him right down the pipe and move her up in a series and bring him right in behind her, and so it's touchy both ways. I'll definitely tell you that sitting on the pit box is it's nerve-wracking in a lot of situations, and then you got to make those calls and stay out, not stay out, pit for tires, don't pit for tires. But the ownership side has definitely opened my eyes up a little bit, I should say, to a lot of different situations and a lot of different scenarios that you say, well, if I have my crew chief cap on, I'd do this, but I got my ownership hat on right now, so I got to think about it going forward this way. So it definitely lays a lot of stress on you for sure. But like I said, I've got great people behind me. Great people that work for me, and it's even though it's stressful, it's fun, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why we're doing what we're doing with the younger drivers in the K&N Pro Series, ARCA, truck stuff. There's nothing better than being able to put a young individual in a race car and watch them succeed and move up the ladder. Oh, yeah. And I get a lot of joy, a lot of self-satisfaction out of it, and a lot of joy out of it. And hopefully keep it going and move forward. And, my ultimate goal is to be a 2 to 3 team, K&N team in the future here in the next couple of years. And, heck, at the end of the day, if the money's there, we'll go truck race and we can do whatever. We just got to have, obviously it takes the money and the commitment and the talent to do it. So,
I can only imagine how many times the light bulb has gone off when you got the ownership hat on. And back when I was a crew chief, I knew that I told the owner I need this, and this. But now that I'm the owner, I guess I didn't really need that and that. It was more of I wanted that and that. I can imagine be able to see things a little bit differently from one role to the other could now be really beneficial since you're still crew chiefing as well and be able to do it from both aspects. One more thing before we let you go and get Dominique on the show. Outside of obviously a win or a championship this year, what is the 2016 goals for Rette Jones Racing and for Dominique for you guys?
First and foremost is to put the brand of Dominique and what she's doing moving forward, to put it out there and make her a household name. I mean, my first and foremost thing is obviously to win races, run up front, contend for championships, but to also grow, to also mature, to also take her to the next level. She's like I said, she's been very impressive so far. She came to my office a couple days ago and she had this little book and she says, "Here, I made up this little book." And she actually went to every racetrack and took Google image photos, off the internet of every racetrack. And then she started going back. And the great thing about technology nowadays is you can watch a lot of these K&N races on YouTube. And she's been watching the races and making notes, and she's got these notes written down in this book, and looking at the tracks and this track looks like. I might have ran this track here in a late model some years back, and it kind of, she wants this. That's what it's driving me, because I see the drive that she has, and we're still, like I said, we're still learning each other, and we're still new to all this. But I picked up the phone as soon as she left, and I called her dad, and I just told him how impressed I was. I've had some great young talents, and some kids that they're, the Justin Loftons of the world that we won an ARCA championship together, and some of these other kids that I've worked with, they haven't, not that they didn't want it as bad, but like I said, that impressed me. She wants it for the right reason. She wants to do this, and I'm going to do everything in my power to put her in victory lane, and the guys at the shop are, I was very fortunate today was my birthday, and the guys were kicking me out of the shop at 5:30 to go home and have birthday cake with my kids and my wife. And at the end of the day, I text one of my guys, and he was still there at 7:30, 8 o'clock, still working. And the determination in this little group as we grow it bigger and forward, it's there. Everything's there. And like I said, I don't see a reason why we can't go out and compete for this championship. I really don't. And I know there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and heck, it's racing. There's blown motors, there's flat tires. It happens. But I believe I got the right group of guys behind me, and I've made the right hires in the people that want to do it for the right reasons. And we're just going to take Dominique, and like I said, whether she be a female or a male, she's a race car driver. She gets in that fire suit, puts that helmet on, she's just as good as the rest of them. And we're gonna push. We're gonna push really hard, and I hope in a couple, whatever it is here at the end of the year, we can talk again and say, hey, I told you so, because I really see something in her that's man, like I said, I can't sleepless nights getting ready to get to New Smyrna. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun this year. My partner likes to have fun, so we're definitely gonna race hard, have fun, and everyone have a good time, and that's the biggest thing that we're trying to build here, and keep it rolling into the future, so we can be that team, that's the development team, taking kids to the next level. So like I said, I think we can go do this. I think we can win this championship, and we've got the guns loaded. Cars are coming together great. Got some new cars that we're building, some really, really nice race cars. So make them fast, make them light, and put her in the seat, and we'll talk about it later,
that'll work. One, I want to wish you a happy birthday, then. Two,
I appreciate it.
Most definitely would love to have you guys back on, or have you back on when you're able to release more information about the 2016 season when the things come up. And of course, you guys keep sending the stuff over. I know that we end up sharing on our Facebook page, and we end up sharing on Steve Villmeyer's Facebook group as well when they had the press release about Dominique. So we would love to be able to pass that on to our listeners, and not just our listeners, but to help spread the word of the young talent coming through the ranks, and also just help to grow the sport. Because even though we're an all-sport company here, NASCAR is our number one. I grew up watching NASCAR, being out there Friday and Saturday nights, where I'm from in Ohio at Shady Bull and Killcare, and just be able to be at the track and help grow the sport. And that's why I've been affiliated with so many different companies and help in expanding and getting the eyes on NASCAR. So anytime you guys got anything, make sure you guys send it our way. We love getting it out there to help spread the word. And like I said, when the time's right and you guys got more stuff to pass on to the fans out there, definitely let us know, and we'd love to get you back on.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, obviously, we came together through Chris Knight, who handles all my stuff on the PR side of things and the media obligations and stuff. And man, Chris is one of the best there is in the business and does a great job for us at RJR. I think him and Dominique have been working really good together. So, like I said, anytime you need to reach out to him. We'll get Dominique back on the show, myself, whoever it may be, future drivers coming down the road, and as we announce some stuff here in the future, we'll keep you guys posted, and we'll just go race and have a little bit of fun and get her in victory lane, I guess, is the biggest thing, and really appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on. You enjoy the rest of your night. Good luck with the races coming up here in the next week or two, and definitely wish you guys the best of luck with the 2016 season.
All right, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great night.
No, you too.
That was Mark Rette of Rette Jones Racing. Great guy. We had him on once last year, if I'm not. Yeah, it's got to be last year. I know we've had him on before. I lose track. I really got a bad sense. That's why I got 4. I literally, and I'm getting ready to get you on, Dominique. I literally have 4 years worth of black calendar books sitting here in the studio here, so I could keep track of when we've had people. Sometimes I swear it's been a couple weeks and it's been 6 months ago, and sometimes I swear it was last year and it was either this year or 3 years ago. Especially since ever since Miss Lee has kind of taken over with the whole scheduling thing. We went from having a guest here, there, once a month, once every couple months, to when Miss Lee took over doing this about the beginning of last year, beginning of 2015. We went from random guests to pretty much having at least at least having on average 1 guest a night. A lot of nights we were having 2, 3, 4 guests, and every once in a while we would not have a guest. So on average, at least 1 guest a night. So I have literally, and I write down everything, times and everything. I make sure that I keep track of who we've had. Those that, are repeat guests, and those that we have great relationships with, such as Mark, as we and Chris too, their PR. We've had a lot of the drivers on. We've had Mark on, a great relationship, but not a first time on the show. Love having them on the show. I love listening to be able to talk. I love, we have so many drivers on, and it's really cool to be able to have an owner on and other aspects of the sport as well. So you kind of get a different point of view of things, or speaking about the light bulb clicking on, there's a couple of things that he said. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess that does make a little bit more sense now that it's coming from, a different point of view. It's just like it being at work. We got a store manager, we got an assistant manager, we got employees, and once you get it from the other eyes, I guess that does make a little bit more sense. But anyway, all these people listening into the show right now, I ain't listening to me talking anymore. They're ready for the next guest. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get Dominique on it. And I'm going to do my best attempt at this. And I got Mark to say, and I'm going to try to repeat it the same way he did. So hopefully I get this right. Dominique Van Wieringen. Did I get it right?
Close.
Pretty close. I wanted to say at the beginning, I made him say it first, so I did not want to butcher it the first time around. How do you say it again?
Van Wieringen.
Wieringen. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
but that's not the worst. The worst I've heard is Van Wieringen, and there's no D in there.
Oh, goodness. Before we jump into this, what we like to do is give you an opportunity to plug yourself. And what we mean is social media, if it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, there's like 8,000 different platforms now. You want to shout out to any sponsors, anything you have going on before we jump into this. That way the fans get an opportunity to know you, be able to follow you not only this season but as your career progresses.
I definitely got to thank the Rette Jones Racing for giving me this opportunity to race K&N. And Durabite Incorporated, my main sponsor this year, and Jones Group, which is Terry Jones. Got to thank all those people, my fans that have been able to support me and everything else. They've followed me since, some through the beginning, some through different places, but they've had my back, and I got to thank all those people. And, yeah.
I try to do as much homework as I can before we have our guests come on the show. And I tell you what, you've got a pretty impressive resume. It seems like you've accomplished a lot so far, but yet you have so much more to go. What's it been like for you so far in this racing career of yours?
It's had its ups and downs. I've had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, but that's just how racing is, and I love it. Every time you go to the racetrack, it's always something different. It's not like having a desk job where you're having the same thing every single weekend, and I just love racing in general. I can't go without it, and I'm already having racing withdrawals, and even though New Smyrna is like a week away.
At what age did you get into racing?
Around 5, but I had a different beginning than most race car drivers. I started with motocross racing with my brother, and we did that for like 10 years, and I wasn't so good at it, but my brother was really good at it, so we were in that for the longest time, and then my brother got into a really bad accident, almost died twice, and so we got out of motocross because my parents weren't about to kill their kids doing motocross, but we were racers. Like, motocross is the same way. Once you're in racing, you can't get out of it. And we had to find our new fix of racing. And then our neighbors got us into go-karting. We started that, did that for about 5 years, and friends of ours from go-karting got us into stock car racing on ovals. And I tell you what, I never dreamed when I was in go-karting that I would be in love with racing on ovals and big old cars. I thought, yeah, I'll do IndyCar road course racing, but I got in it, and I've loved it ever since.
You know, believe it or not, the motocross thing has become more and more of a common thing for drivers, and it's hard to believe because there's a lot of drivers out there, I'm not from the common background. Believe it or not, and we had Eric Saunders on. I don't know if you heard of him or not. He's the one, the driver that got paralyzed from motocrossing. He runs with Tony Stewart, and he's doing a lot of great things to make it where, you know, those that are paralyzed be able to be out there racing. But we've had a couple of them to come on the show, just on our show alone, that have started off with motocross and made the jump over to four wheels, which is just really crazy to know that's becoming more and more of a starting point for more of these drivers. And the go-kart thing, I think that's so funny because growing up, we go-karted, and I would have never imagined that it was such a big thing. Like, we just did it recreational, and I love telling this story. We one time we was at the go-kart track, and it wasn't the smoothest of track, and my brother got in the inside of my father and spun him sideways where the track was so bumpy. Kind of find out my father had spun out. Well, I went ahead and finished. They threw the yellow flag, got us all off the track, and walked over to my stepmother at the time and my buddy's girlfriend at the time, or his buddy, my father's buddy's girlfriend at the time, and they pointed over on the other side of the track. I'm like, oh, cool, they got a bonfire, this, that, and the other. Well, come to find out, when my father hit the bumpy part, it ended up rolling the go-kart, and that's what was on fire. If it wasn't a bonfire, we would actually burned up one of the go-karts while we was at it. But it amazes me to see these drivers at such a young age. You know, I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old here that can't make it from one end of the house to the other end without tripping over their own 2 feet. I got a 9-year-old the same way. And then I got a 17-year-old daughter that just got accepted to college, AP student, on a roll, already have completed a semester in college and still in high school, one of the brightest kids I've ever met in my life. But I tell you what, you better make sure that hallway is about 20 feet wide. If not, she's going to smack a wall as she goes down that hallway. So growing up and having all these kids, it blows my mind that there's kids out there at that age that get to start this so young. What was it like growing up and being around racing, and more specifically, what was it like trying to have, I like to say normal life, but I'm sure for you, being at the track all the time was a normal life, but what we consider a traditional everyday go to school, go home, play in the neighborhood is a normal life. What was it like kind of having a different life and not be able to maybe do the same things as the neighborhood kids or the other school kids did?
It's definitely different. Like, there's a lot of times where it's like, hey, you want to hang out on the weekend? And it's like, no, I'm going to be in a different state or a different country. I can't do that. So it's hard to, like, relate with some people, but with a lot of friends I've had, they understand, like, racing's my life. It's not getting cut out anytime soon. So I find that there's, like, a lot of my friends, they accept it and they understand, and we just kind of work around it. And it's even cool because in school it's kind of the same way. You would think that some teachers are going to give you crap for having to miss classes to just go and race. But a lot of teachers are like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand that. You can go, we'll change test date, no problem. So even though it's not normal, like, the normal life and my racing life are just easily blended together, that there's not too much difference between them except that I go to the racetrack on the weekends and go race big cars and go really fast instead of sitting at home watching TV or something.
How much was it an adjustment for you to go from 2 wheels to 4 wheels? I mean, I know it wasn't like an extreme from going motocross to jumping straight into the late model or the K&N Pro. You did go to the go-kart, but still, I'm sure that it had to be an adjustment to race one thing for 10 years that just had 2 wheels to jumping into something else that had 4 wheels, and it kind of be a totally different kind of racing.
It's definitely different. Like, I can definitely say from my brother, because I wasn't really good at motocross at all, but I know from what my brother said, the kind of crappy thing about 4 wheels versus 2 wheels is on a dirt bike, if your bike isn't that good, you can wheel that thing around and it'll be good. But on 4 wheels, if your car isn't that good, you can do what you can, but there's not much that you can do to still put it on. You can put them on the podium, but in motocross, you can still get that sucker to win. In the car, it's not that easy. And for me, transitioning from 2 wheels to 4 wheels was like night and day difference. But when I got in the 4 wheels, I loved it right from the get-go. And I didn't like motocross so much. It was kind of scary jumping through the air, and, you know, you're going to get hurt most of the time. So it was a lot easier for me to transition than my brother, who was really into motocross.
Now, I've seen that you've had the opportunity to race different kind of things, and I'm always curious. Everybody's a little bit different on this answer. To you, what felt, I don't know, the most natural, or was the easiest for you to really just get the hang of it and be out there and just feel really comfortable? And then likewise, what was so far been the most difficult thing for you to adjust to? Just something that you just never really felt comfortable with, or maybe it just took you a while to feel comfortable behind the wheel? The easiest and maybe the most difficult for you so far?
I would say the easiest thing is, like, saving tires. I just have a natural ability to save tires. I don't know, I think it's just because of how smooth I drive, but most of the time I have to save a lot less than the next person. That's the easiest thing, that most of the time I don't have to consciously think, all right, I got 200 laps, I got to really, really concentrate on making sure I have these tires when it's lap 195 or 199. And then the most difficult thing, I guess, the funny story, in go-karting, I had to literally be taught how to pass. And it sounds like the most bizarrest thing, but I went through a whole day of learning how to pass with a good mentor of mine who passed away a couple of years ago, Bobby Hahn. He spent the whole day working with me on how to pass because I could not do it when I started. I just couldn't. He spent the whole day working with me. He would stand on the track to make sure I would learn to pass. And then ever since that point, I've been able to pass and do different kind of things. But that was probably the hardest thing when I first got into four wheels.
How exciting is it to know that this season you're going to be running in the K&N Pro Series, one of the NASCAR station series that is kind of the, I'm not going to say the foundation to leading into the premier three levels of the series, but because I know that there's a lot of work and there's a lot more to it than, you got to work a lot to even get to the K&N Pro Series, but now you're starting to see the national spotlight. Now, NBC with this great coverage they do, now you're going to be able to say, hey, you know what, Thursday night, you guys turn your TV on at 7 o'clock. You're going to see me out there on the track kind of situation. How exciting is that to see all the hard work and all those weekends that you couldn't go play with or hang out with your friends. Now it's kind of paying off, and now you kind of see your career going in that direction.
Oh, it's really exciting. Like, just the broadcast on TV is amazing to me because it's like you go to your normal late model race and you'll have Speed 51 or somebody having it streaming live, but to actually have it on television is a totally different deal, and it's just amazing now that I can tell my friends and stuff, hey, yeah, you can go on TV and you can actually see me race on television. It's just, that's super exciting, and just the exposure from that by itself is so much more than when you go to a late model race that I just can't wait. It's gonna be a great year, and I'm super excited.
Now, I know that he brought it up, and of course I have it in front of me as well, that you're going to college as well. How crazy now, now you're out of high school, now you ain't worried about the weekends. Now you're being an adult, and now you got college underneath your belt. You obviously got sponsor obligations. You got meet and greet obligations. You got testing. You got qualifying. You got travel. You got races. How crazy is your weekend? And do you how crazy is your day? And do you ever get a moment to yourself where do you get an opportunity to just kind of do you even get a breeze? I can only imagine how hectic your schedule is on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it's all about time management. If I didn't manage my time, I'd be running around with my head cut off trying to finish homework last minute, or I got this test on Monday and I don't have my notes yet. It's all about time management, that most of the time I'm not running around with my head cut off. Then for me, I get my breath of fresh air when I go to the racetrack. To me, that's like, I'm here, this is my place to be. It's not a stressful thing. I love racing. And it's just like my stress reliever. It's just, I love to be at the track, and that's where I can just breathe and, I guess, be myself more than anywhere else.
That's cool. I don't know. I know, and I hate saying a normal life, but I have this normal life where I just work. I got kids to help raise. I'm a little bit more ordinary than most because I have a company that I'm trying to work its way up, and I don't feel I'll ever be the ESPNs in the world, but if I can be, the Bleacher Reports or the sports rants of the world where this is what I do 24/7, and I can find it, and I know Mark still listen, this is kind of in a non-racing environment, but I still kind of want the same things Mark is able to do. It would be, I think, the biggest accomplishment if I cannot, just provide jobs for people, but provide careers. And, I don't want to, if I don't get the opportunity to provide where someone, this is all they got to do and not have to have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, worry about the wife doing this, but I can provide an opportunity for, if it's only 5 people or if it's 50 people, be able to do exactly what I'm doing and it be a career and it be a lucrative career where, like I said, there's no stress of bills. That's where I want to be. And And so I don't have the normal life, but but I do at the same time. So I know how hectic I feel how hectic my life is. Obviously, it's nowhere as hectic as what you got going on. So I try to wrap my mind around what it's like for you guys, because you just visualize all the stuff going on every single day, and I can only imagine. I want to take an opportunity just for a second and kind of back away from the racing just for a brief second, and let the fans know a little bit more about Dominique as a person. In your off time, first let's do this. Say in the middle of the week sometime, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you want to just kind of clear your mind, kind of put last week behind you, good or bad, it don't matter, and you're not quite ready to get focused on, the next weekend's race. Middle of the week time frame, got a couple hours to yourself, and you want to go clear your mind and kind of just, what does Dominique do to do that?
Could be I have a range of different things I do. It could be if I'm on campus or and my friends free, I'll hang out with my friends, talk, chit chat, have lunch. Sometimes I'll just a good stress reliever even from homework. I'll sit down, I'll put on a good TV show or watch some YouTube videos, surf the internet, just kind of simple, normal things that I would consider normal, just hanging out with my friends or just watching YouTube videos, surfing the internet, or watching a couple of TV shows.
I mean, there's no wrong or right answer. I'm just curious. The fans want to know what especially in the sports you guys are in, with the speeds and the stress, and I can only imagine being out there and doing the speeds you guys do with all the other cars inches away and everything else. Me, I like to go to the gym. That's kind of my moment to. Even though there's 100 people around, and even though I got music blaring in my ear, it's my opportunity to just kind of, I'm in my zone, and it's always interesting to know, especially athletes, what they do to kind of just clear their mind and just finally, a moment to myself or a moment to just relax, clear my mind, get ready for the next week. And likewise, say, an off race weekend, no school, you're on a break, and you get the phone call from Mark and said, you know what, you got the weekend to go do whatever you want to do. What do you do to get away on the weekend? Normally I would say finish, hunt, or whatever, because normally I'd ask a guy this, but for you, what would you do on a weekend that if you just had an opportunity and it's, there's nothing going on, no school, no nothing, and you just had a free weekend to do whatever you want, what do you try to go do?
I definitely like to, when me and my friends have breaks and stuff, we like to go out and kind of do adventurous things, go hiking, mountains. We learned this new thing last year called fun yakking, which is like a kayak and whitewater rafting mixed together, that we just like to go out and do outdoorsy adventure things. That's something that we like to do when we have totally free time, and that's something that's really fun that we all like to do together, and that's what we try to do when we have a free weekend off or when we have our school breaks. That's something that I really like to do, and to do it with my friends is also great as well. Just a more bonding experience, but I also find it's better to be able to share that experience with friends than just do it on my own.
That's cool. Like I said, it's always just curious to know what, I don't know, when you're us common folk, you kind of just have this fantasy world of what athletes do, and so it's always cool just to kind of get a grip of reality of what actually happens when you get free time, or how do you clear your mind. Now, I know Mark was impressed with the whole you getting the Google Maps and taking pictures of the tracks and everything else. So, one, how nervous are you with some of these tracks that you're going to that you've never seen? I don't know how many of these tracks you've ever been on. I'm assuming there's not a lot of them that you've actually been on. So, one, how nervous are you going to these tracks that you've never even, seen other than in pictures or YouTube videos, let alone been on? And then also, what makes you sit there and think, let me watch these videos, let me take some pictures and let me really study these tracks?
There's always a little bit of nervousness, but my little bit of nervousness more so comes from just the unknown in general, where when I look at YouTube videos of races and the pictures of tracks and everything else, that takes more of a lot of the unknown away, where most of my nervous of the unknown is what's going to happen that day. What's the weather going to be like? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? What's the humidity? Those are things I can't predict or control, but a lot of my nervousness where I can just take away and not be nervous about is through watching the YouTube video. So before I get to the track, I already know, okay, yeah, I have to run this line. I already have that graph, and I already know what the track looks like. I'll have to play around with braking and acceleration a little bit, but before I get to the track, I already have a good starting point. Then if I just showed up blindly, I would be even more nervous because I would have no idea what the track looked like. I'd be starting from scratch just as I pulled into the pits for the first time. So I'm not very nervous, and just doing all that research helps. Just before you get there, you're already a step ahead of the game.
I definitely can imagine. I'm not sure what all type of tracks you've been on, but I'm assuming with the go-karting you've been on some road courses, and of course I know you've been on short track. Do you have a preference? Do you like road courses? Do you not care for them? What type of tracks do you prefer? And if you've not been on a super speedway, are you looking forward to the opportunity of being on a super speedway such as Daytona or Talladega?
I definitely like the road courses. I haven't been on one in a full-size car, but I know there's a lot more thought process when it comes to a road course than being on an oval. So I'm definitely excited to be on a road course. And my preference of track is the high-banked ovals. Those are my favorite, when you just go into the corner and you just feel almost like you're vertical. I love those tracks. That's why I'm super excited to go to Bristol this year, because Winchester Speedway is my favorite track right now, and that's a high-banked half-mile that's kind of like Bristol, but I think it has a little more of an attitude. So I'm definitely super excited to run Bristol. And the super speedways, I'm interested in running. I've never been on one. I know it's a totally different experience than any of the short track racing that I've done, and I'm definitely excited to learn just how to drive on a super speedway. That's a totally different experience, and I know a little bit of drafting from go-karting when we've gone on super big tracks where you drafted a little bit, so I have a little bit of drafting knowledge before I get to a super speedway, but I think I'll need a little bit more help with just how the bodies are with the different NASCAR series.
Now, have you had the opportunity to go to Bristol yet? At least as a fan,
I went to Bristol last year to watch, and I'm pretty sure I was there for the whole weekend. Me, my brother, and my mom went, and we camped outside in a tent, and we watched all 3 races. I don't think we watched the K&N race because we got there too late, because I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, but we were there to watch all the rest of the races, the trucks, the Xfinity, and Cup.
Now, I didn't get to go last year because the way they just had a packed house, and so they approved us to go and give me a gold pass, but that's all they were going to give me, which was kind of pointless because I would have to leave once and get out of the pit, and I just didn't have the money to buy an actual ticket. But the prior 2 years with the media, I got to go, and a lot of people put Daytona as, and especially more specifically the 500, as that track to go to. If they get to go any track, that's the track they want to go to. Me, I was a little different. As great as it was to go to Daytona, and I don't know your extensive history with NASCAR and how knowledgeable you are, but I got to go in 2011, and Mark will be able to appreciate this a little bit more. He's a little bit older anyway. I got to be there when Trevor Bayne put Wood Brothers back into victory lane, which, for someone as myself that has watched the sport since '84, that was a big deal. And, that I didn't think that there's anything that could match that. And Saturday night Bristol racing, I don't know what it is other than it's just door-banging action that puts that, it's got to be neck to neck with Daytona, even with the historic Wood Brothers car being back in victory lane. I got to put Bristol up there, and I, for your sake, I hope you get the opportunity to run at Bristol, I can't wait to see you run at Bristol anyway, because I loved that track. And, you know, it didn't even dawn on me when I was there that there was no garage area. Like, it just didn't click. I'm like, you know, it's compact. It wasn't until they had the first car come out from damage that it dawned on me when we're walking and where we're supposed to be walking, that's where they're working on the car, and you can literally, like, touch everybody as they're working on the car. And then it kind of clicked in my head, like, wow, there's nowhere to do this. Like, we're literally tapping the crew guys as they're working on it, and it was just crazy to me. But I tell you what, Bristol, yes, I love Bristol. I love that you threw that track out there. I think you'll have a blast there, and being out there in a car, not just, you know, being a fan and you get that one experience, but having the whole other experience of being at the last Coliseum and actually being behind the wheel. I can imagine how tickled to death you will be when you get that opportunity there.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. That's my number one excitement track of the year for sure.
I was going to ask something now. I just totally lost what I was going to say. And I kind of asked Mark a little bit different direction earlier. And you know, I'm always curious because we've had a lot of female drivers come on. I think most recently we had on a few times was Sarah Cornett-Ching from the ARCA series, and I think she's doing K&N Pro as well this year as well. And I asked all of them, you know, how difficult is it for a female, and how hard was it for you coming up in this sport, a sport that for the longest time it was a white man's sport, and you know, you had a few minorities here and there, and a few females here and there. As a matter of fact, I can never remember her name to save my life. But my father crewed 4 races for a female back when my mom was pregnant with me back in '77. He was an outside tire changer. He said that was probably the scariest thing he ever did because back then they didn't have the pit road speed limit, and they didn't wear helmets back then. It was cars going as fast as they could, and he was outside tire changer. But now it has become a more common thing. But obviously, when you was 5, 6 years old and coming up, it still was kind of a new thing. And I like to look at you guys now, especially in your age bracket, as kind of the pioneers and laying the foundation for the generations of the 4 and 5 year olds now, and those young ladies that are not born yet, to make this even easier for them and more, I hate using this word, but more acceptable, because it should already, you know, as talented as I've seen a lot of you ladies out there, there's no reason that this has not been a thing already, and we've been deprived of a lot of talent because you just have a lot of people that are just set in their ways, and they just not accepting the females out there on the track still. Danica catches hell still to this day, even though she's pretty much proven herself. And yeah, she ain't got in victory lane yet, but she's accomplished a lot in a short period of time. How difficult has it been for you throughout your life so far, getting to where you are just strictly because you're a female?
Believe it or not, it hasn't actually been that hard. And when I started, I was in an outlaw super late model racing against guys that have been racing longer than I've been alive. And you would have thought that they would have been more old school and been like, oh, you're a girl, you can't drive, or whatever. And they've actually were really accepting of it. And even I would say our generation is even more accepting of it, that it's more of a normal thing. And there are people who are like, I'm for this. Let's get more females in. But it's also, I would consider, it's a double-edged sword at the same time, because whatever a female like myself or Danica accomplished will be more in the spotlight than a male counterpart. But if we were to do something wrong, it's also going to be more in the spotlight than our male counterparts. So It's a double-edged sword that we just have to deal with. And part of what I do is I want to kick the door open in NASCAR. I want to make it more acceptable for females to be in the sport. I want to be able to turn it like in drag racing, where females in the sport is a normal thing. It's not an anomaly. The population of the world is 50-50.
It's speaking of double-edged swords. You know, a prime example I like to use, and I like to pick on Dale Earnhardt Jr., and if you're a fan, then I'm not really picking on him now, but you'll quickly learn I'm not a Dale Jr. fan. But prime example when people talk about Danica, they talk about she's a marketing piece, and the only reason she is in the sport is because of her marketing. You know, that's all technically now race car drivers are, is marketing pieces. Like, if you don't have sponsorship, you're not getting in there. Therefore, if you're not marketing yourself, you're not going to have a sponsor, nor are you going to have a ride. And Dale Jr. to me is a prime example. The junior nation loves to talk about Danica and the fact that she's nothing but a marketing piece, and that's the only reason she's in the sport. I'm sorry, but Dale Jr. has not won a championship. He has not won, and until this last couple of years, I give him credit. His last couple of years, he has been really, really good. But until that point, he's been no better than half the field out there. But yet he is marketable because of his name. He ain't nothing more than a market piece himself. I mean, he's the most popular driver just because of his name, not because he's done something to deserve to be the most popular driver for 12, 15 years straight, whatever it is at this point. So, you know, when you talk about the double-edged sword, I totally agree, because the whole marketing thing is a prime example when people will say that about Danica but don't want to say the same thing about Dale Jr., even though every other commercial you turn around during the race is either Wrangler with Dale Jr. or Nationwide with Dale Jr. or, you know, there's more commercials with Dale Jr. than I think any other driver at this point. So, yeah, I definitely agree with the double-edged sword analogy there.
Yeah, it's definitely there, but you just got to do the best you can with it. That's the only thing you can do, and hope for the best. Now,
I got at least one, if not two, but at least one more question to ask. I'm going to get you out of here. I love asking this question. I love knowing, you know, who you grew up cheering for and whatnot. So you're a little bit younger than me. I have two answers because of my age. Obviously, I've picked drivers that have retired at this point. And you know, growing up, I was a big Bill Elliott fan. I just love Austin Bill from Dawsonville. And had the shirts, had, you know, the Coors this, the Coors that, the number 9. And obviously once retirement came, I was kind of in a funk until I found me another driver. Now I'm a big Danica fan, and I'm a big Kyle Busch fan. You might not have two answers, being a little bit younger, well, probably a lot younger than myself. Growing up, your favorite driver, it doesn't necessarily have to be a NASCAR driver. We've had a lot of drivers that, you know, have been influenced by other types of racing. And if it's different now, what is your current favorite driver?
I would say my favorite driver, just because a huge role model for me in go-karting, just from the get-go, is Danica Patrick, because she was the first one to really just do as much as she's done and really opened up a lot and helped influence a lot of females like myself when I was starting in go-karting. That she was a great role model for me starting, and great to see that, you know, we us females can do something. It's not an abnormal thing. So I would have to say Danica and Patrick would be my favorite.
Cool. And you got to hear Mark's goals for 2016, and especially when it comes to you as well. What are, obviously outside of winning a race, and I try to eliminate, that's the first answer, I want to win a race, or, you know, the goal is to win a race or win a championship. You know, I'm well aware that is what the ultimate goal is for everybody. But outside of winning the championship or outside of winning a race, for you, what is the personal goal for 2016? If it's to be to finish every race, or top 10 finishes, top 5 finishes, feel comfortable at certain track, whatever the case may be, learn something. What is like 2 goals for you in 2016?
I'd have to say the first one was learn everything I can, because K&N is a good place to learn a lot of different things. We go to bigger tracks, we go to road courses, we go to tracks that the NASCAR Cup Series runs on. That's one of my primary goals, other than winning and all of that other stuff. That definitely learning as much as I can. And then I would say the second is getting as much exposure that I can. Just what I do myself. That's basically a lot on me, is my own exposure on what I do, that I need to be able to maximize all the exposure that I can, not just with the TV, but also with different appearances and all sorts of different things, that hopefully by the end of this year that I can move up to the next step with a sponsor that's willing to help me get there and move my career forward.
I like that. Obviously winning championships, everybody's goal, but every driver just has, certain things they want to either improve about themselves or they want to, help a team accomplish or whatever the personal goal, and the reason behind it. And it's just cool to hear, just like it's cool to know what you guys do in your off time. Like I said, us common folk, we just, we just assume that you're starstruck and you guys just do this whole high-end stuff. And I know that's not what really happens, but, you sit there and you watch the Kardashians on TV. Well, people do. I'll never watch that. But anyway, and you just kind of get this kind of misled of what life is really like for people because they're celebrities or athletes. So it's the same thing with the goals. It's just cool to know what you're thinking and what you honestly expect out of the year. I know what you want out of the year, but kind of what you're shooting for more realistically. And then obviously the win and the championship come along with it as kind of a bonus. I mean, like that, everybody shoots for a win and a championship. So it's just kind of cool to know what's churning in the head up there. Dominique, I want to thank you for your time. It has been really a pleasure to have you on. As much as we love having the repeat guests on, and we have a lot of them come back on, it's always a breath of fresh air to get somebody new that we've not talked to, and we get to know them and get to learn about them, and our fans get to get another driver in the stable to be able to look for and cheer for and get to know more about. So I definitely want to thank you for giving us giving us your time. There we go. And thanks for coming on. Definitely looking forward to checking you out on NBC once they rebroadcast the race. And, all the races is I have Thursday. I think it was Thursday night that they did. Either Thursday or Friday night they rebroadcast all the K&N Pro Series races, and I do not miss one of them. So I'll definitely be looking out for you. Definitely want to wish you good luck on the 2016 season and your career. And hopefully we get to have you back real soon, and looking forward to talking to you some more.
I want to thank you for having me on. It was a good time, and if you want me on again, contact Chris. He's the one that's been helping me do a lot of this stuff, and I'll gladly come on again. I'm excited for this upcoming year.
Definitely. We will definitely do that. And I tell you what, when you put that, I didn't say yet, when you put that into victory lane, we'll definitely be beating on the door. Hopefully, and I don't want to say we're going to wait until you win, because hopefully you're going to be winning a lot quicker than everybody's expecting, and we will be beating on that door a lot quicker and not having to wait till partway into the season to come back and to get you to get back on the show. Hopefully after race 1 or race 2, we're beating on the door talking about, hey, we want to talk about how it feels to win in the K&N Pro Series. But definitely good luck on the season, and we'll be talking to you soon, and you have a great night.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you. Oh, I tell you what, this week has been so phenomenally fun and so great, and I didn't think we could top yesterday with Gus on the show and Zach from the Hurricanes on the show, but I think having Mark on the show, a very, very knowledgeable guy in the sport alone, but being a co-owner of Rette Jones Racing and a crew chief, to be able to pick his brain for a little bit and get to know what's going on over there at their race team, and then get to have this young, very talented driver on the show and get to know her and just put one more driver that I would say one more driver, but so far this is my only driver in the K&N Pro Series that I'm going to be looking for. It's one of those things that I start off my season with a clean slate because you got so many drivers, so many young talented drivers that constantly come into the sport new. So one, you got to spend the first couple races learning all the new drivers. But I try not to be biased. Yeah, right. Those that give the 110 time is the ones that I tend to like to give my time to and share and promote and talk about and everything else. And Dominique obviously is going to be the first one on the stable for us to make sure we keep an eye on here at the 110 and make sure that we constantly share what she has going on and what Rette Jones Racing has going on, especially since Mark is graciously given his time more than once to the show. Just like them being a young and smaller team, we're a young and smaller, news outlet here, and it's always great to have those that give you the time and I'm not gonna say help us, even though it is helping us, because I know how many people that tune in, and my Twitter feed, with the favorites and the retweets every time they talk about coming on the show. So I know it's helping us, and I know there's people that tune in tonight that normally don't tune into our show, but for them to kind of I don't know what word is, lend us their drivers, I guess, lend us their time. Well, they lend us their time, but they give us an opportunity to help get their drivers out there and talk about them and kind of make them known to our fan base. But in return, it helps us. It builds our viewership and listenership, and it kind of helps solidify our credibility. Not that that's not why we do it. I've had enough drivers and enough athletes on for the last 2 years. Either at this point, either you like us or you don't like us. There's really no in between at this point. But it's just really cool. It's kind of the barter system all over again, where we'll send some drivers over and give you some people to talk to and have some knowledge of the sport and get to kind of fill your time, and at the same time now you're publicizing and promoting our company or our team or our drivers, and it's just really cool. It's kind of give and take on that, and it's just really cool that Chris and Mark and all the drivers that they've had on and themselves. So we've had Chris on the show before, and like I said, we've had Mark a couple of times. It's just really cool, and I'm very thankful for that. And I can't wait until MEC starts picking up and playing the K&N Pro Series on Thursday or Friday night. I can't remember for the life of me what night it was that they did it, but I definitely can't wait till they do that, and looking forward to that. With a little bit longer, much longer, I guess, about 25 minutes longer on the interviews than I thought. I forgot how much Mark talks, and it's not a bad thing. It's great. I love when I have guests come on, and all I got to do is ask a question, and they go with it. It definitely, it makes me look good. It makes me look like I know something. But two, it does make my job a lot easier. And especially when you got somebody like Mark that is so knowledgeable in so many different aspects of the sport. It just really, it's a host dream to have somebody like Mark come on the show. And then Dominique, she was great, and being so young and new to the national spotlight. And I'm sure that she's had some interviews, but I'm sure that she's not well seasoned to this point, still working her way up through the ranks. She was phenomenal as well, and definitely made my job easy, definitely made the time go by, and definitely made me not have to sit there and figure out what I was going to talk about for the last 30 minutes like I had planned on having to do. So you guys only had to go through me talking for 30 minutes in the beginning. They saved you guys. That's all that was. But I definitely want to thank Mark and Rette Jones Racing and Dominique for all coming on the show. I tell you what, I like I said, this week it has been so phenomenal for us to kick off February, between having Drive for Diversity driver Allie Kern on Monday and Tim Clegg, the PR for Mason Mitchell Motorsports and ARCA commentator. And then we have the author, Richard Mitchell, on Monday. And then, of course, yesterday with Gus Dean and Zach Wojcik. And then tonight, Mark and Dominique. Oh, my God, it's been a while since we've had a week like this so far. Like I said, it's even hopefully this is it until about the new year when we got on the I-95 Sports Network. We expanded to the 5 days a week. Before then, it was only 3 days. So this was it. Bam, we had a great week. That's it. We're still kind of adjusting to the 5 day work week, and right now we don't have anybody booked for Thursday. We're still trying to work around if Steve is doing the show on Thursday, which I think he's staying put on Thursday, but we're not 100% sure. Friday, I'm still got a couple possibilities. I know next week we got Mason Mitchell joining us. Hopefully we bring him some luck in the ARCA series. We're 3 for 3 on that. Came on the show, won a championship 2 years ago. Came on again, won Iowa. Came on again, won Kansas. We have, like I said, we have a running joke. Our good luck charm over there at Triple M. But looking forward to having him on. I know Miss Lee has got a slew full of guests that guests lined up, getting ready to come on the show. So looking forward to that. Don't forget you can catch the 110 Nation Morning Show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. You can catch the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. As of right now, date subject to change. Days subject to change. Right now we got Racing with Big Sweat on Thursdays. I don't think he's making a return this week. Steve has been at sideline with some medical stuff, and our thoughts and prayers still with him as he gets back to 100% so we can, for one, he can get back to being healthy and have a normal life. But more important, like I told him, take all the time that you need. When you are ready, you let us know. I contact him about once a week just to check in and see how he's doing and everything. I don't want to make him feel that he's pressured or he needs to come back. First and foremost is his health, and so once that time is right, he'll let us know, and he'll make his way back to what's Racing with Big Sweat. Don't forget, we got also on Sunday nights the Happy Hour Garage. We love it having those ladies on. We get an opportunity to rebroadcast their show on our network on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. We got a special edition on Saturday at noon. They did 2 episodes last week, and so due to the scheduling and the platforms and the time allotted and everything else, I had to break it up and couldn't do them both last week. I didn't get it in time to do it last week, Saturday and Sunday, or I would have. So we did their show on Sunday, and then the other one we're doing Saturday at noon. And then, of course, we got the Dirt Talk Hour, the hottest show right now on the 110 Nation Sports Network. If you are about the local short dirt tracks, you need to tune in 9 o'clock Sunday nights. We had a phenomenal crowd on Sunday night, and expecting the same this Sunday night. That is our schedule. Make sure you check me out at DJ Sports One. Check out the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, and check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Whew! Did a lot of talking tonight. Not really, but I did. Kind of, sort of, a little bit. Who knows? You guys make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning. Till then, you guys have a great night.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.